All right, there we are. Now we're live. All right, good morning, Trek CC land. This is the February, what is today, the 23rd?
22nd, 24th.
24th edition of the 2019 of the Board of Directors for the Continuing Committee. I am Maggie Geppert, the Executive Officer and current Chair of the Board. Joining us today, we'll go from what I left to right. So Charlie.
Hello, I'm Charlie Plain, Acting Director of First Edition. Midnight Lich on the boards.
All right, I got Justin.
I am Justin. Money guy or CFO, who is recovering from a bout of food poisoning from last night.
Thank you for sharing that, Justin. All right, then we got Ross.
Hi, Ross Vertel, Director of Second Edition, Faithful Leader on the boards. And if you want us to talk faster in these meetings, choose a telepathy person will be stopped when this dilemma is overcome. If no person will stop and facing this dilemma, this opponent may draw 3 cards. Take that, Alan Gould, if that is your real name.
All right, so our other board members could not be here today. So we'll do our best to. We do have quorum, so we'll run through our business as fast as we can. So let's just start with department reports. So Charlie, you want to tell us about 1E?
I don't have a ton of news to add since our last board meeting. Things are going fairly well on the 1E side. Project Elen is finally rounding the corner. I expect it to be off to production in the next 2 weeks. There were a few last-minute concerns that were brought up, and we've had to do some last-minute testing to make sure that we're not putting out something that isn't good for the game. But I think that's largely been dealt with. So that'll be heading out soon. Next projects are going well. I started working on the next monthly status update. I'm hoping to have that up in the first part of March. Our article system ate my weekly column this week, and I'm extremely salty about it, so that's why that didn't happen. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on. We're Will of the Collective is still marching along, making 2 cards, Excalibur and Yarnik, both from the Savage Curtain. We are doing 1E March Madness. So we took the most 64 played cards over the past year and seeded them into a bracket, and people are going to vote on them each week and decide which of the 64 cards is the winner. Moving past that, we've got Project Elen is going to be coming out in the spring. Several projects getting going. Including something for the 25th anniversary of STCCG coming out later this year. Things are going well. I'm just sort of keeping the lights on and making preparations to do some cool projects once we get an official director brought in, whomever that is. If it's me, great. If it's not, I'll be training. So either way, got a lot of irons in the fire and projects coming that I'm hoping to tell you guys about soon. But overall, I think 1E's in a really good place right now. Some people weren't very happy about the Quantum Incursions decision, but I stand by that. And there's a batch of errata that's going to be coming out in March to address some bigger issues. And I think all the cylinders are firing and working now pretty well at the moment. No complaints.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with the work that errata's been doing, just how much consideration they've been given to pulling all the stuff off the ban list. So kudos to those guys they've been working hard on that. And that's a really tough behind the scenes kind of thing. So I've been impressed with their work on that. And I just want to say creative, Ryolytic. Yes. my lore for Excalibur, proposed lore.
Yeah, I don't know if they kept that or not, but the lore will be going up today. probably right after this meeting, so people will be able to vote.
Sweet.
So they tweaked a lot of things in everybody's lore, so it wasn't like anybody's lore was copied and pasted exactly.
No, that's cool. Very cool. All right, Ross, go ahead and give us a second edition update.
All right. So in the past few days, I've put an update for what people can expect in the year 2019 in terms of sets and where the sets are overall. You could see those right here, I believe. Links to the forums. There is some good discussion coming up with some other stuff planned for the year. So if you have ideas, design won't necessarily follow them to the letter, but if you want to have a say, this is an opportunity to do so. I do want to publicly commend the rules team. They did a lot of work with getting one of the key mechanics in the next set to work out. I'd love to come out here and state their names. I can't, but they did a lot of work. It really shows. They really came together and took this thing that seems really simple and put it in a way that is simple, but you'll see when it's there, a lot of work went into it. It's not as easy as it looks. There's going to get some errata coming in March. I don't know if we want to relitigate that, but it's on the forums. And that's pretty much the big things on the 2E side.
Yeah, and thank you for also doing the weekly column stuff for us. That's letting people know what's going on the boards is I think it's good. We get more people looking at that. All right, so Daniel wasn't able to make it for communications, but what I can say is that what I know of there is that Austin's been really good about working with the social media, getting the Facebook posts and tweets going out. So that's really still waiting to hear on a writing director. So if you guys, anybody out there in the public space is interested in working with the writing team, moving them forward, getting series going, really go ahead and contact Daniel Madison, please, to if you are interested in writing team. Also, ops. I don't know, Charlie, do you have anything with what's going on with ops?
The most noteworthy thing I have is an update on the Borderless promo project. So I think we talked about this before, but Lucas Thompson on the forums, Edge of Hearing, made some Borderless promos, and everybody that was awesome, and it inspired our volunteer team to give it a shot. So Johnny made one. We made one of each. We made a USS Enterprise for 1E and a USS Enterprise D for 2E. I believe Lucas made the art, and then Johnny put the thing together, and we got them printed from Jeremy, and then they got sent to Dan, and Dan has assembled them. Early reports on assembly are optimistic. It's a different process, but it is not necessarily a longer process, according to Dan. And especially with satellite production sites up and running, doing a large part of the promo work, that gives Dan more time to work on special things. I know samples are going out to the decision makers, basically Johnny and Lucas and Jeremy and Maggie and Ross and myself. We're going to look at them, and then we'll have a meeting and try to decide, is this something we want to do, and then figure out how and where we want to do it. But signs are looking good that we might be doing borderless promos, borderless foil promos for special occasions this year even. So just wanted to give you all an update on that.
Speaking of, Dan has returned from his business trip to Hawaii. Oh, what a burden! And he was working in the warehouse yesterday. And so if you guys hadn't noticed, claw these kits are now up in the promenade. Yes, it's a little delayed, but they're there now, so you can get those for purchase. Our fourth satellite location that was still working to get up and running has sent some more, has sent some cards to the main warehouse for the 2nd edition league kit. So I don't know what Dan's timetable on that is, but he's received those and they might be up soon. So if you're looking for the 2E league kit, those might be available soon for purchase in limited quantity. I know that achievements are still, so Marcus has been working on getting achievements up and running. That was, I don't think there's anything new from last month. And, there's just, the programming and if you guys notice, by the way, there's some HTML errors, sometimes some SQL errors for the switch over to HTML5. So if you notice weird things like the pictures aren't working right now on the website, let Chris know. You start working to fix that stuff. All right, organized play again. And so we, I should say we've got first Masters of 2019, Manassas, Virginia. So that is Masters 2, 2-man, 2 asters. So if you are going to be Hall of Fame format with the new 2019 Hall of Fame class. Coming up at the end of the month is our 2nd Masters of the year in San Diego. So the last weekend of March is the San Diego Masters. So give that a look if you're going to be down, if you're anywhere along the West Coast. Let's see. Other than that, it's regionals. So if you haven't gotten your regional application in, go do that. So there are a number of applications in now. So please consider running a regional for the year. Anything else, guys? Oh, and I know. North American Continental location has been announced. It's the JW Marriott in Atlanta. So that's also will help you guys make your travel plans for the year. All right, Justin, last one, the department reports, financial status. What you got for us?
I've been pretty quiet over the last month. Really the only project is getting things moved over. So I can start putting together the audit team. But that's still in work, has not been completed yet. So that's really the only project we're working on right now. So it's, satellite production facilities have been great, keeping our promenade stocked and to where we have monies coming in to be able to do special projects and do special things for anniversary events and higher level events, thank yous, giveaways. We'll be able to have that resource available with the production not being stalled out. So hopefully we can get everything switched over by the next meeting. I'm hoping, but that's basically about it.
All right, that's good. So then on to old business. We've talked in the past about on the more private board meetings where we haven't done this publicly yet, we've been talking about doing a unified reward system where the promenade, you can use things like Masters points and league points and sort of move everything together into the promenade. So Charlie has an update on that. So Charlie, want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there were, real quick, and we're going to probably post I imagine we're going to post the finished plan for a review before we implement it. But the idea was there were 3 problems that we identified. Number one, we have like 4 different point systems. There's Trek Masters points, there's League points, there's Excelsior points, there's a bunch of ways to have these points. There's ratings even. Number 2 was the rewards that you get from those are either inconsistent or extremely difficult to get. For example, to get the earned by from Masters, you have to basically win first place in 2 or 3 Masters based on the size. And then the third point, which isn't really related to organized play, was we as an organization have not done a good job at rewarding volunteers. So we were looking for solutions to those problems, and the idea of coming up with a unified currency, for lack of a better term, point system that could be given out for all of our different programs. So if you play in a Trek Masters, you get some of this currency. If you play in a league, you get some currency. If you play an Excelsior event, you get some currency. If you're a volunteer, you get paid in this currency. And then there would be, as part of the promenade, a store where you could trade that currency for items. And the store would include things like event promos, previous year's event promos, old reprint promos, old playmats, buttons. Like you could go into the store and buy specific buttons that you wanted for your collection. There would probably be there would be volunteer promos that would be in there. We would probably have some exclusive stuff that you can only get through that system. And then the idea of being, if you play in a Masters and you play in a league and you're a volunteer, you can use your points however you earn them to actually get things that you want. And that would all be built into the promenade, so it would use the existing ordering system and infrastructure, and it would just create orders that get packed through the warehouse. There are some other details in there to work out, but that was the impetus of the idea, to just sort of unify everything that we're doing into this central place, and then make it so that, if you play in a Masters and do really well and you don't care about the playmat, you can pick up some extra copies of the promo. Or you could pick up, an old reprint tournament kit that you could use as a tournament prize in the future or something like that. So that was the concept. We're close to having our proposal put together so we can submit it for comment and review. We just have some key decisions to make. Yeah, I'm sort of I've been taking the lead on the project, so we're at the point where we're ready to make it happen.
All right, sounds awesome. All right, any questions on that one, guys? All right, next on here is update to bylaws. I just sent that to the board members this morning. Will Hoskin very graciously offered his editorial skills to us to look over the bylaws, and he found a large number of grammatical errors and inconsistencies, and things like standardization of, instead of using he or she, use the phrase they as a singular gender neutral pronoun, stuff like that. So those edits unfortunately came in after we adopted the bylaws last month. So I just wanted to get the go-ahead from the board. I had plans to actually do the edits in a version 1.1 and have you guys approve that. But that's really all there is in that, in the update there. It's nearly all just like tighten up the grammar and make these consistencies. And what do we call, are we calling the Department of Communications the Department of Communications, or are we calling them the Department of Public Relations?
It used to be Public Relations, and I think we changed it to Communications.
Okay, because both terms are used in the bylaws, so I wanted to make it one or the other.
No, I think it's comms because it used to be PR.
Oh, okay. All right, then I will also make that change so that it's consistently the Department of Communications and not Public Relations. But those are truly the only updates to make. So I don't know if you guys want to approve, like pre-approve those changes, or do you want to wait until I make them all and we'll just vote on it next month?
Yeah, I want to go over them, so I vote to wait till they're
next month.
Just we wait until they're made before we vote.
All right, I'll table that. Then that also does bring up a question. Do you guys, right now, the moderators, the forum moderators, do not have a home underneath they don't have a home in the bylaws. They're there as a group, but they don't report to anybody.
Wasn't that by design?
That was by design. So people have brought that up as an issue, but I'm okay keeping it as they don't report to anyone, because then people, you know, if we put them under the executive officer, then people, you know, could say, you know, could go over their heads and complain, you know, to, or I won't say complain, but make appeals to a higher authority.
I mean, if you said they report to anyone, Maggie, probably, I mean, they're accountable to the bylaws. They're reporting me to the board as a whole. So, you know, we need to put some language in there that, you know, takes X number of votes from the board to do something, or I don't know.
I'll table that discussion too. I'll put some proposals out. I'll put that up to the public to see what they what the public says about that then. All right, new business then. There's been some talk about a European warehouse. So just to keep the public working with one of the groups in Germany that are interested in being a appointment to Europe, where we would send boxes of kits there and to save on shipping, and then they could distribute when an order comes in. They distribute it in Europe. That we're still working on all the bills of that. This is where one of those places where we do need an ops a director of operations to spearhead this sort of thing.
Yeah, the big question I have. I have no objection to setting that up in principle. My objection, I want to know though, who's going to do it? What guarantee do we have they're going to, you know, are they going to keep doing it, or is it going to, like, we'll do it for 6 months and then we're not interested anymore? And really, we need to look at the cost benefit. Like, we need to understand, what does it cost to ship something from Germany to all the places in Europe where we ship, and then factor in the cost of shipping a huge shipment to Europe. You know, is it cheaper to do it that way? That's it. We should probably figure that out.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's under discussion right now with Dan and the group. So I'll work with them more to get that moving. All right. I had officially placing Tribbles under first edition. So Charlie, that was something you had brought up.
Yes, largely because it doesn't have a home right now, and I don't believe it is a standalone entity that would justify having, you know, a department of Tribbles with another board member. But I think it should be somewhere so that there's somebody who is overseeing it and in charge of it. My suggestion for having it be under first edition was A, because Tribbles originated with 1E. So there's, you know, some natural historical overlap there. 2, most of the people that are volunteering for Tribbles are volunteering for 1E already. And doing that work already. For example, Dan and I have largely done most of the Tribbles work over the past few years. Dan and I are already both in 1E. It makes sense to have that project there. But mostly, I would like it. It's not me seeking out more work. It's just, let's have this somewhere so that when people are constantly asking, where's the next Tribble set? What's going on? Somebody is responsible for answering that question. And on the org chart, we know whose job that is. That would be my motivation for moving it. I don't particularly care if it ends up in 1E versus another department. I just think it should go somewhere.
All right. Well, then I would move to officially create a department of Tribbles underneath the first edition, the director of the Department of First Edition. Anyone to second that?
So
it makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, there's no Tribbles in 2E. and so that wouldn't make any sense to put it there. It does make sense. I mean, you've got Tribbles side decks, and maybe heck, they could even revive the Tribbles side deck. You know, see what kind of design implications that could have. New items.
So
Well, go ahead, Ross.
So we're adding a new department to first edition then?
Well, we could do it that way. I thought it would just be like, I liked the suggestion that somebody had made of just in the 1E roster having somebody who's like the Tribbles manager. And it's sort of their job to just sort of do the Tribbles work.
So they would be responsible for design, rules, testing, pretty much everything under that one.
Yeah, it's not large enough to have its own departments for everything. I think one person could manage the volunteers doing all that work. I mean, we can certainly write up a more formal proposal and vote on it then.
Yeah.
But
and my other concern is, with all due respect, I'd rather this happen after we have a permanent director first edition in place.
That's reasonable. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then I will withdraw. I will withdraw my motion for putting Tribbles under the first edition department. Then I think, Ross, I think you're right. That would be something that we would want a permanent director of first edition to handle. All right. Next one, how to play. We wanted to explore some ideas on how to support casual play in the in that environment, or within the environment of Trek CC. So anybody have any thoughts on that?
I mean, we could totally link it to the new unified store. I mean, you get maybe for each match to control the points. Maybe for each match you play at a casual tournament or whatnot, you get 1 point. You know, so we would need obviously a way to track those games on the site, but then I mean, each match you play, you get a point. So you're not inflating the points, but you want to play lots of Trek with a friend that's a member of the continuing committee, and he lives nearby, and you can't get 3 people for a tournament. Great. Well, you played 10 matches in a week, you get 10 points. I don't know. That makes sense.
I'd want documentation for that. Like,
well, yeah,
you're gonna put up YouTube videos or something like that, or if we could get TK in with the dojo. What have you been doing on the dojo, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What I'm particularly interested in, at least as a first step to this, and especially since Chris isn't here to talk about the organized play implications, is anybody out there who plays Trek outside of what we call a tournament. What would interest you in what incentives or processes or what changes could this organization make to make it so that you tell us about your games? Because ultimately, we want people to play, and we want people to play in whatever format they want. But the more information we have about how people are playing, when and where they're playing, what cards they're using, regardless of whether that's a kitchen table game with your brother or you and your buddies get together and just play a bunch of deck testing or a tournament, we want to find out about that. So what I would ask is, anybody watching this recording or watching live, what can we do as an organization to make it so that you are eager and excited to tell us about those games? So, because even if we do what Justin's saying, we're going to create a reporting, person A played person B, and this was the result. We have to create something that lets you do that. What do you want that to be like? How do you want that to work? Tell us what what rewards and tools and technology would make it easier for you to participate in casual play and report how that went to us. So I'm very interested in hearing what people would want, because especially now with Austin connecting with more Facebook groups, we're hearing a lot of like, well, I don't play tournaments, but me and my friend play all the time. Well, we still want to know about that. Like, you and your friend play all the time. What do you play? What do you like to use? How does it go? We want to know that. So.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's not enough, especially on like the 2E side. We haven't had a lot of hype lately for people. Just like, what are people doing? So, whatever we can hear about people playing, that would be really awesome. All right, last thing on new business, and I forgot to put it on the public agenda. It was sort of on my mind the last couple of days, is just an update on where we are on the board level searches. So I just wanted to let the public know I have put out a call within the continuing committee for people to help volunteer on the search committee. So I have gotten so far 3 people who have been willing to volunteer between 2 different search committees. So please, I need more people than that. So members of the general public, if you are interested in, if you're not interested in being the director of operations or being the director of first edition, but you are interested in making sure those positions are well staffed, please consider PMing me. I'm Jadzia Dax 8 on the boards because I would love to have more volunteers. I'd like to have 5 people for each search committee for director of ops, 5 for director of first edition to get those searches up and running. So that's where I'm sitting right now on the search committees, if you guys are wondering where those are headed. So pretty soon I'm going to be working on getting applications up and sharing those. So start thinking, what kind of questions do you want to what kind of questions do you want to ask on the applications? What kind of questions do you want to ask during interviews? So that's where we are right now on those searches. The idea for the search, the process is going to be assembling the search committees, putting the applications up publicly with an article, interviewing, going through the applications, interviewing the people who we're interested in, and then offering a position to someone. So if you're interested in helping out with that, please PM me, Jadzia Dax 8 on the board. All right, so did anybody else have any other issues? I haven't been able to look on the chat room. Is anybody in the chat room right now?
I don't see anyone. No.
Okay. All right. So if there's no other issues, can we have a move to adjourn then? Oh, and then a tentative. Ross.
First up, I move that we approve last month's minutes.
Oh, we did. Shoot, I forgot to print that out. So, Ross, are you moving to approve last month's minutes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'll go in favor.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right. So minutes approved. I forgot to print that on my printed agenda. All right. My next meeting date I have tentatively set for March 23rd. That's a Saturday, 1 month from this weekend. I know for a fact that both Chris and I will be out of town the last weekend of March. So tentatively set that Saturday, the 23rd, unless Sunday is better for you guys. And I'll post that date publicly once we get that firmed up. All right, then. So if there are no other issues, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
All right, anybody second?
Yep. Second.
All right, Charlie seconds. So All right, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So thank you guys for, if you're viewing this, thank you to the public for viewing this board meeting. Thanks for all the board members who are able to make it today. Chris Constantine, travel safe. We'll see you next month, all right? Daniel, hope everything's all right with you.